Let me tell you something that might surprise you. A woman can love you and still take you for granted. It happens more than you think. Your effort becomes expected. Your presence becomes background noise. But here's what most men don't realize. There are specific psychological moments when a woman starts to miss the very man she overlooked. I'm going to walk you through exactly when it starts, from a woman's perspective, so you can stop wondering and start understanding how this actually works. Here's what you need to understand. When a woman takes you for granted, it doesn't mean she doesn't care about you. It means she got comfortable. Your effort became expected. Your presence became the baseline, not the highlight, and most women don't even realize they're doing it until something shifts. From a woman's perspective, I'm going to break down the 7 specific moments when we start to miss the men we overlooked. These aren't random. They follow a psychological pattern. And here's the part most men miss. The moment a woman realizes what she lost, it's almost always too late. Because by then, you've already moved on. Or you should have. Now, not every woman will experience all 7 of these moments. Some will hit harder than others depending on her personality, her emotional maturity, and yes, how deeply she actually cared beneath the surface. But these patterns are real. I've seen them. I've felt them. And I've heard women talk about them behind closed doors in ways they'd never admit to a man. So if you've ever been taken for granted, if you've ever felt invisible to someone you gave everything to, this is for you. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly when and why women start missing men like you. And more importantly, you'll understand why staying strong matters more than chasing validation. Let's start with the first moment. 1. When your energy pulls back. Here's when it starts. A woman gets comfortable with your attention. Your good morning texts. Your consistent effort. The way you always make time for her. It becomes her normal. And here's what you need to understand. When something becomes normal, it stops feeling special. She doesn't wake up grateful anymore. She just expects it. But then something shifts. You stop reaching out as much. Not out of anger or games. Just because you're genuinely focusing on yourself. Maybe you're tired of feeling unappreciated. Maybe you're investing that energy somewhere else. Whatever the reason, your energy pulls back. And that's when she notices. At first, it doesn't feel like panic. It feels like confusion. She checks her phone. Why hasn't he texted me today? Did I miss something? She might even tell herself she doesn't care. But here's the truth. The absence of your attention creates a void she didn't expect to feel. See, when a woman starts to feel like you've stopped orbiting around her, when your energy shifts, when your presence fades, when you're suddenly no longer as available as you were before, it flips a switch inside her. Not immediately, but slowly. The comfort she felt. It starts to feel like uncertainty. And women hate uncertainty when it comes to a man they've gotten used to having around. This is the first psychological moment. Your withdrawal of energy makes her aware of how much space you were actually taking up in her life. She starts wondering, checking in more. Maybe even reaching out first when she never used to, because the dynamic shifted. And she can feel it. But here's what most men get wrong. They pull back for a day or two, and then rush back in the moment she responds. That doesn't work. The shift has to be real, sustainable. Because if she senses you're just playing games or seeking her validation, the moment collapses. Your absence has to be about you genuinely moving forward, not about trying to manipulate her attention. That's when the missing starts. Not when you disappear for show, but when you actually redirect your life. 2. When you stop being available. But absence alone isn't enough. Here's what amplifies it. It's one thing for your energy to pull back. It's another thing entirely when you stop being available. And there's a difference. Energy is about effort and attention. Availability is about access and time. When a woman has gotten used to having you there whenever she needs you, whenever she wants to talk, whenever she feels like reaching out, your availability becomes an unspoken guarantee in her mind. She doesn't think about it consciously, but she expects it. You're the person she can text at midnight when she's bored. You're the one who rearranges plans to see her. You're always there. Until you're not. Maybe you don't respond to her text for hours when you used to reply within minutes. Maybe you tell her you're busy this weekend when she suggests hanging out. Maybe she notices you're out doing something without even mentioning it to her first. Small things. But they add up. At first, she rationalizes it. He's probably just busy. He's got things going on. It's not a big deal. But then it happens again. And again. And that rationalization starts to crack. Because deep down, she's starting to realize something uncomfortable. You're not prioritizing her the way you used to. And worse, you don't seem to need her validation or approval anymore. This is where the panic sets in. Not loud panic. Quiet panic. The kind where she starts checking if you've been online. The kind where she wonders who you're with or what you're doing. The kind where she might even reach out more than usual, just to test if you're still paying attention. Here's the psychology. When you were always available, she had control. She could reach out whenever she wanted and you'd be there. But now, she doesn't have that control anymore. And that loss of control feels like loss of connection, which feels like loss of you. And then something happens that changes everything in her mind. 3. When she sees you thriving, she checks your social media, maybe your stories, maybe your posts, and there you are, out with friends, smiling, looking good, living your life like nothing happened, like she was never the center of your world. And something breaks inside her, because here's what she expected. She expected you to be stuck, maybe sad, maybe struggling. At the very least, she expected some sign that losing her mattered. But instead, you look lighter, happier, like you've moved on without even a backward glance. That hits different. It's not just that you're doing well, it's that you're doing well without her. And that realization is brutal for a woman who took you for granted. Because in her mind, she always had the option to come back. She always thought you'd still be there, waiting, hoping. But now she's looking at a version of you that doesn't seem to need her at all. This is where the comparison starts. She remembers how you were when you were with her. The way you used to look at her. The effort you put in. And now she's seeing you put that same energy into your own life, into your friendships, into your goals, into becoming someone better. And it stings because she's not part of that growth anymore. Here's the psychology behind it. When a woman sees the man she overlooked actually thriving, it triggers something called loss aversion. She didn't think she was losing anything valuable when she took you for granted. But now that she sees you moving forward, her brain reframes everything. Suddenly, you weren't just the guy who was always there. You were the guy who had potential, who had value, who is now giving that value to his own life instead of hers. If you've experienced this, you're already ahead of most men who stay stuck hoping she'll notice them, suffering. But the most powerful moment, it comes when she needs you most. 4. When life gets hard, this is where it gets deeper. Because it's one thing for a woman to notice you're gone when everything's fine. It's another thing entirely when life actually gets difficult. Maybe she's stressed about work. Maybe she's dealing with family problems. Maybe she's doubting herself or feeling overwhelmed. And in that moment of vulnerability, she instinctively reaches for the person who used to ground her. The person who used to listen without judgment. the person who made her feel safe when everything else felt chaotic. Except that person isn't there anymore. You're not there anymore. And that's when the weight of losing you really hits. Because when life was easy, she could tell herself she didn't need you. She could convince herself that what you offered wasn't that special. But when life gets hard, all the superficial reasons she took you for granted don't matter anymore. What matters is that you were her stability, her calm, her anchor. And she let you go. Here's what women don't often admit. We remember the men who showed up for us emotionally. Not the ones who said the right things or bought us things, but the ones who genuinely made us feel less alone in our struggles. And when you were that man, and we took it for granted, the regret hits hardest when we need that presence again and it's just not there. This moment is different from seeing you thrive. That moment was about ego. This moment is about heart. When a woman is hurting and realizes the one person who used to be her safe space has moved on, it cuts deeper than anything visual ever could. She might even reach out during this time, not because she's ready to commit or change, but because she's vulnerable and she remembers how you made her feel protected. But here's the thing. If you go back just because she's struggling, you become the safe option again. Not the valued man. The fallback. This creates a comparison trap she can't escape. 5. When new guys disappoint. Here's the comparison trap. Once she's experienced life without you, once she's tried moving on, she inevitably starts comparing every new guy to what you gave her. And here's the brutal truth. Most of them don't measure up. Maybe the new guy doesn't listen the way you did. Maybe he's inconsistent where you were steady. Maybe he's all talk but no follow-through, while you were the opposite. Maybe he only shows up when it's convenient for him, and she suddenly remembers how you used to make time for her even when it wasn't easy. These comparisons aren't conscious at first. They're small observations, little disappointments, but they add up, and with every letdown, every moment where the new guy falls short, your value grows in her mind. Not because you were perfect, but because you were consistent, real, genuinely present. Here's what happens psychologically. When a woman is with you, she notices your flaws because she's looking for them. But when she's with someone else who doesn't have your strengths, she suddenly notices what you did right. The things she took for granted become the things she wishes she had back. And this isn't a one-time thing. It's ongoing. Every relationship she tries, every guy she meets, she'll measure against the baseline you set. If you showed up emotionally, she'll notice when others don't. If you were patient and calm, she'll feel the difference when someone is reactive and unstable. If you made her feel chosen, she'll recognize when someone makes her feel like an option. The comparison trap isn't about you being better than everyone. It's about you being different in ways that matter. And now that she's experienced the alternative, those differences feel irreplaceable. But here's what's interesting. Even with all these realizations, there's still one more shift that has to happen. Eventually, something shifts deep inside her. 6. When ego fades and heart speaks. Here's the shift I promised. Time does something powerful. It creates distance between a woman and her ego. And in that distance, something quieter starts to surface. Something she's been avoiding. At first, when she took you for granted, her ego was loud. It told her she had options. It told her she could do better. It convinced her that what you offered wasn't special enough. But ego is protective. It defends choices even when they're wrong. It justifies. It rationalizes. It keeps her from admitting uncomfortable truths. But time strips that away. Slowly. The more she experiences life without you, the more comparisons pile up, the more she realizes in vulnerable moments that she actually needed what you gave her, the harder it becomes for her ego to maintain the story it built. And that's when the heart starts speaking. Quietly at first. Was I wrong about him? Did I let go of something real? Did I take for granted the one person who actually saw me and stayed anyway? This is the most painful moment for a woman. Because it's not just missing you. It's admitting to herself that she made a mistake. That her pride got in the way. That she chose ego over something genuine. And that's a hard truth to sit with. By understanding this, you're choosing clarity over confusion. You're seeing the full picture that most men never get to see. Here's what women rarely say out loud. When we finally admit to ourselves that we were wrong, it doesn't always mean we'll come back. Sometimes the admission is just for us. A private reckoning with our own choices. But the regret, that stays. Because we know we had something real and we let it slip away. This moment, this internal battle between ego and heart, it's the deepest layer of missing someone. And it doesn't happen overnight. It builds across all the previous moments until it can't be ignored anymore. Which leads to the final, irreversible realization. 7. When she realizes she can't recreate you. This is the final realization. And it's irreversible. She might try to find someone like you. Someone who listens the way you did. Someone steady like you were. Someone who makes her feel the way you made her feel. But here's what she discovers. You weren't just one quality. You were a combination. And combinations are impossible to recreate. Maybe she finds someone patient, but he's not emotionally present. Maybe she finds someone who shows up, but he doesn't really see her. Maybe she finds someone consistent, but the chemistry isn't there. Every person she meets, she's measuring them against a standard she didn't appreciate when she had it. And nothing fits. That's when it hits her fully. You weren't replaceable. She thought she could find better, or at least find the same. But she can't. Because what you brought wasn't just about traits or qualities. It was about how you made her feel in totality. Safe and excited. Grounded and free. Understood and challenged. That balance, that specific way you existed in her life, it was yours alone. And the window to have that again. It closed the moment you genuinely moved forward. This realization doesn't come with hope. It comes with acceptance. She missed her chance. She took something real for granted, and by the time she understood its value, you were already gone. Not physically distant. Emotionally unavailable. Mentally done. That finality is what makes this the deepest form of regret. Here's the truth. Most women carry quietly. We remember the ones we let go. We think about the what-ifs. We wonder how things would be different if we'd chosen differently. But we also know, some chances don't come twice. Some people don't wait forever. And some decisions can't be undone. That's the final moment. When she realizes you were irreplaceable. And that realization came too late. Now you understand the full journey of when and why women start missing the men they took for granted. So here's what this means for you. Don't wait around hoping she'll realize what she lost. Don't chase her trying to prove your worth. Because by the time she goes through all 7 of these moments, by the time she understands what she had and what she gave up, you should already be so far ahead in your own life that her realization doesn't even matter anymore. Be the man worth missing, but never the man who waits to be missed. The strongest position you can hold is this: you gave something real. You showed up. You were consistent, present, and genuine. And if that wasn't valued at the time, that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of where she was. But you don't stay stuck proving a point. You move forward because that's what men of value do. Women remember the men who had the strength to walk away with their dignity intact. The ones who didn't beg, didn't chase, didn't break. The ones who understood their worth and lived accordingly. I want to hear from you. Have you ever been taken for granted by someone you gave your all to? How did you handle it? Drop your experience in the comments. I'll be reading and engaging with you because these conversations matter. This is where real growth starts. That's the truth. Be that man. The man she'll remember but can never have back. That's how you win.